Hey everybody, it's Tim Whittemore here with the Emerald Group once again, giving you a little insight from a panel that we have over here at Affordable Home Insurance. All right, gentlemen, thanks for coming out. Just give us a quick introduction of who you are and just a little bit about yourself.
Jason Vaughn. I've been here at Affordable Home Insurance for 4 or 5 years now. Been around in the area for a really long time, and we'll pass it over to Clint.
Yeah, I'm Clint Durst. I've been here for 5-6 years now. Personal lines manager, but like Jason said, been in the area my whole life, so very familiar with homeowners insurance, flood insurance around the area.
Brian Brennan, Director of Operations here at Affordable Home Insurance. I've been here for about 10 years and been in the area about 16 years and officially a local now, I think.
I'm Drew. I've been in the area for 18, 20 years, maybe a little bit longer. I've been here for about 5 or 6 years, so the Gulf Coast is really our specialty.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate you all taking the time. So first question up, what does a typical homeowner's insurance policy typically cover for somebody that's buying a single-family residential home? Perhaps maybe this is their first purchase. And what's some tips that you can have that's not something that's covered that perhaps they thought might be covered?
Well, I'd say the biggest thing is you're covering your home and your contents. That's the majority of a policy when we're talking about insurance, period. When we're dealing with anything from water pipe burst, water heater burst, lightning, theft, that's really what you're protecting. And of course, in Florida we have hurricanes, so of course there is a hurricane deductible as well. Nowadays we have a multi-peril policy, which years back you used to have to split the wind off and put the home on separate, but here at Affordable we have over 30 carriers that we write with, so we're able to do all the shopping for the said homeowner.
I think the biggest thing people don't realize is that jewelry coverage is very limited for theft in a homeowner's policy. So the $15,000 engagement ring you're wearing, you need to schedule it or get it with a specialty carrier.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and one of the main exclusions, I think, going back to the homeowners is the flood. People tend to think that, hey, I'm buying homeowners, flood's included. It's not. It's a completely separate policy in Florida. So just make sure you talk to your agent and ask them, hey, what's the deal with this house? Is it in a flood zone, not in a flood zone? Kind of go over those scenarios with them.
The optional coverages that sometimes people overlook, replacement cost on their contents versus actual cash value. I think that's always a good one to add on. The water backup coverage, because that is not going to be covered by the homeowner policy unless you add it on there, and it's always a good thing to do for $25 a year.
Even increasing the mold.
Yeah, increase your mold limits. There's all kinds of things you can do to your policy to make it better for you, give you better coverage, and a lot of the times they don't add that much to your premium at all.
I think the most important thing for us as an agency, as a team, we always quote our insureds as we would write the policy ourselves for our own home. And you're not going to get that everywhere. You're going to get a stripped down, watered down policy to say, here's your lowest rate and have a good day.
Yeah.
And then can I please make the sale? We don't do that.
Yeah, cheaper's not always better.
Right. A lot of times when you're looking at deductibles, with some of the carriers, you can take $1,000 deductible and change it to a $2,500 deductible, and it's only going to take $50 or $60 off the policy. Well, it makes no sense to have to spend another $1,500 if you have to make a claim when you only saved $60 a year.
Correct.
But like on my house, going from $1,000 deductible to a $25 saved me over $300 a year. If you figure you file a claim about once every 5 years, well, I saved the money.
Correct.
So
options are key when it comes to insurance.
Yeah, in a nutshell, like he said, you're covering your structure first and foremost, and you're covering your contents inside. But what you're doing too is covering all these items against certain perils. So lightning, fire, tornadoes, etc. So when you come down here, just make sure that you read your homeowner's policy and go through it with your agent.
When somebody's purchasing a home, what are some inspections that a buyer could get to help decrease their mortgage premium?
There's a magic number. It's called 2002. If the home was built 2002 and older, you do not need, to the present, you do not need a wind mitt. The only time you would ever need it is if you have hurricane protection in your windows, doors, etc. up to about 2014. So that gap between 2002 and 14, you might have to prove it. Besides that, you're going to get the discounts already added into the policy. Prior to that,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a wind mitigation inspection, and it costs generally $100, but it can save you thousands on any premium or quote for the home.
And the concept there is to save you the same monies that the newer home's saving you. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna get on your roof, check out your roof, see if it's FBC equivalent, see if there's a permit or not. They're gonna get in your attic, and they're gonna try to find the main credit in your attic, which is the hurricane clip. And they're also gonna look at a few other things. You know, do you have, how big are the nails that attach the roof to the deck? Do you have that secondary water resistance? Just little things like that. But like he said, it can save you anywhere up to 18-20% on your policy.
Homes that are even older, of course, you have the 4-point inspection, which a lot of the carriers are not gonna require that you have, but then to meet their underwriting guidelines, you need to know some of those things. So I've been advising my clients, at least on the older homes, to go ahead and spend the extra $50 and have the wind mitigation and the 4-point done, so that I know going into it, they meet all of the guidelines for this carrier, because each carrier has certain little nuances that go along with their underwriting guidelines. So one might take a 12-year-old hot water heater and say you can't have it, where one of them will take it to 15 years. But I would much rather the clients spend that extra $50 and go into it knowing that their policy is good, than find a cheap rate with somebody who didn't do the homework, and then they have to immediately replace the hot water heater or immediately replace an electrical panel or something because it didn't match up with the guidelines.
Well, and to further that point though, it's important even from the realtor side, because when you're in negotiations with a contract, a lot of this stuff can be fixed before closing. And roofs are a big one, because we're at what, 2017, our last hurricane was in 05, 06. So now all these roofs are on 15-year lifespans, and the carriers, that's their max in most underwriting cases. So if you can negotiate or really make sure that that roof is at least has 5 years life remaining on it, that's key. So it is important to pay attention to these things. And generally, we try to relay that message prior to binding a policy, because no one wants to get hit with a $15,000 roof bill.
And going back to the roof too, there's a common misconception that when they get the new roofs put on, the clients say, hey, it's good for 30 years. Well, that may be the case with the roof or however the material is, but going back to what he said, the insurance guidelines for a 3-tab shingle roof, after 15 years, they're really gonna start hounding you. So what can happen is you're buying a house, we're in 17, and the roof comes back at 2001. Hey, it looks great. Well, too bad. The carrier wants to see that, like he said, it has 5 years remaining on the lifespan, it's in good working order, there's no leaks, etc. So a roof with the inspections is one thing to really hone in on when you're buying a house. Find out how old that roof is.
Let's say something does happen. What can a buyer expect when making a claim?
Ooh.
Well,
Depends on what the claim is.
How much of a loss? No, I really have to say, I've been doing this for 10 years, so it's communication is key. Now, not everybody's a good communicator, and not everybody can communicate. So it's just, once the adjuster is assigned, the adjuster and the insured are talking back and forth. If not, it gets a little, wait for this report and this report. Generally, it runs smooth. Well, everybody has cases where they don't run smooth. But
I think everybody at this table has had an issue where a claim didn't go where one of our clients felt as it should.
Right.
And at that point in time, we intervene and get the right parties talking about what they need to be talking to make sure the process is handled the way it needs to be handled. So
again, what we know and how that whole thing works, we would want to treat the insured like we would do ourselves, just from everything that we know. And we have a lot of good relationship with the claim managers for the carriers that we represent. But we can pick up the phone and hey, John, we need some help on this.
and we're always on the, our insured side versus the carrier, because generally, I think we end up agreeing with the people that we work with on the claims or anything else that comes in. But if they have a claim and they call us, they can always expect to get personalized service, at least as far as we can go with it.
I think that's a difficult question too, in the sense that every claim is going to be handled different, and every claim's different. What I mean by that is he may be negligent, I may not be. He may have had a roof leak for 2 months knowing it's leaking. Hey, let's just let it damage even longer to see if we can get more money. So in the instant gratification world that we live in, everybody sees Nationwide posting these commercials, hey, someone will be there in 2 hours or whatever. It's just not the way it happens. It's typically 24 to 48 hour turnaround. If there's no negligence, like he said, you communicate, everything's handled how it should be handled.
You know, if there's a total loss, that's a different story, different claim. You know, they might be out there within 5 hours if they're around the corner
Sure.
and giving out a check to say, hey, go get yourself a place to live and we'll be out there. But if it's a roof leak that's been
Everyday claims that we
put
deal with.
off and,
Yeah.
you know, different strokes for different folks. So
I know that there's a lot of experience at this table. So, for a first-time home buyer, what are some things that buyer should know before choosing a homeowner's insurance policy?
The optional coverages that they have, they need to know what's on there and how everything is covered. I think that's key.
I think it's key to pick an admitted carrier. I mean, we've got a lot of it's a very soft market right now in Florida because we haven't had a storm in 11 years. So I think when at the end of the day, when you're looking at XYZ company and ABC company, you need to look more so at the financials and the rating of the carrier as opposed to the bottom line number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, research, and on top of that, the relationship that you can build with your agent or who referred you over. There has to be some kind of trust within there, because if you go to this company or come to us, they may be stripping out coverages that you're not going to know about. So we could quote you with company A, they could quote you with company A, but theirs is $500 less. There's something wrong there.
A lot of first-time homebuyers can't look at that and tell the difference.
Right.
No.
So I think it's a relationship thing, and like he said, a research thing. Just
And
kind
ask
of
questions.
know.
I think
When
it's
you
the
get
bottom
when you
line.
get quotes, a lot of times people all they do is they focus on that number and they think it's going to be apples to apples the whole way down the line, and they don't even, like Clint said, they don't look through it or they can't understand.
But it's
that
not their
quote
job to
sometimes.
do that either.
Right.
They don't know any
The
better.
first time home buyer is kind of under the impression that this is apples and it's apples and it's the whole way down, but you need to look at it. You need to ask questions. You need to decide if this coverage is right for you. Is this too much coverage? Like, not so much on the dwelling, because we're going to do that for you. But as far as personal property goes, do you really need that much coverage? There's not a lot of difference in the premium, but if it's your first house and you really need to get that premium down, sometimes $17 is a big deal. I mean, and that might be all it is. But ask questions, and if you're afraid to ask the questions, have your realtor ask the questions. I mean,
Like you said though too, cheapest isn't always the best.
no.
I hate to say that, because dealing with us, with the carriers that we write with, like he said, a lot of our companies are going to offer low rates. And all the time, we get it all the time. Hey, how is this so low and they're so high, or vice versa? So comb through your policy, really get to know the house up and down, and then just trust the relationships, however you got over here, whoever referred you, etc.
All right, so this is a little moment for you guys to shine. So what's going to set affordable home insurance above the rest in this area?
I think it was what I said earlier about we treat each client the same but different. And when I say that, we treat them like we would write our own policy for them as well. We don't start stripping stuff out.
We'd rather lose your business than write you a crappy policy.
Good.
We'd rather lose your business than write you a policy that we wouldn't put on our own house.
Yeah.
That's correct. And it goes a long way. And on top of it, we do have some software that is able to get quotes out pretty quick. We live in a now era right now with the phones and internet and emails. But we try to get back to everybody quick, and I think that is what sets us apart. Especially when there's not more than, I don't know, there's a lot of agencies up and down.
Yeah.
But the best part is we can shop your policy, and we do shop your policy. Any quote we get, we can run it through 30 carriers to see who truly is coming the best. Because there's going to be different rates for different areas, different zip codes, different distance to coast. So we do that whole search for you. And honestly, you don't have to call 4 or 5 agents, because you ultimately may get the same quotes from the same carriers, but not as fast as we are.
I think you nailed it. I mean, between the customer service that we can offer and the fact that we have appointments with 97-98% of the available markets, I mean, we can almost certainly get you the best rate with the best coverage.
Like, it's the accessibility. We say we're going to turn it around to you within 30 minutes, we'll do it. We say it's going to be 2 hours, it's going to be 2 hours. On top of that, it's the resources. We have every single carrier. We have the softwares. But bottom line is, we just do what we say we're going to do. We're not going to write you a policy we wouldn't write on our own home. And you'll be pretty happy with the rates, because we do have all those carriers.
Lots of options.
How would a buyer get a hold of you?
We have some billboards in town. but no, our number here is 850-654-1567. We have 7 different agents in the office.
We got a website.
We have a website at ahifl.com, and you can request a quote online. You can contact the individual agent listed on there.
You can go talk to your neighbor because more than likely their policy with us.
We make sure that our clients are satisfied, and we do the best we can and get the best rates as possible.
Thanks everybody for watching. Again, this is Tim Whittemore with the Emerald Group. If you have any additional questions, all the information is below this video here, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.